It seems that our Oxford lass cannot travel anywhere without disaster striking. From boats, jeep rides and planes, she is a constant insurance firm's nightmare. With the third entry in the rebooted saga, we reach the end of the origin story. Even if Lara is still the centre of her own world, we now get a chance to branch out further into hers. Shadow is not an exclusive this time, with a full assortment of PC and console versions shipping day one next week. With my two-part look at the game, here I'm getting down and dirty with those much loved resolution and performance stats, along with a comparison of the two Xbox versions. You can check out my full analysis of the visual quality, the engine changes, and what the new team at the helm Eidos Montreal have unearthed under those shadows. You can check out the full analysis with the link below or on screen, and also check out Namtox's full review of this game over on his channel and also the Rectify Gaming site. Again, the link is on screen and below. Last time Lara rose on the Xbox, we had two versions covered, from the 360 and the still at the time new Xbox One. Two versions are tested again, as the bigger X version taking top honours now. But what are they? Well, first up is the resolution shift. Rise of the Tomb Raider managed to run with a full 1920 by 1080p resolution during gameplay, and this dropped to 1440 by 1080 level during all cutscenes, some 33% less. The game suffered greatly from specular shimmer and general high frequency interference in many scenes, something which has been addressed well here with an improvement to asset and post-processing within the lighting model, backed up by a temporal AA pass. This gives the game a cleaner but softer look than before, which is also due to the reduction in gameplay resolution. The S model here running with what appears to be a fixed 1600 by 900p resolution, but in this modern age a dynamic resolution of course could always be in effect, and if it does dip lower or raise higher, it is rare enough that I never caught any points, but this is still a possibility. Now, what may sound strange to some is that this sacrifice of 44% within the gameplay resolution actually looks better to the far more stable IQ it now delivers. The real-time cinematics have almost an indistinguishable 8% sacrifice from before. As such, they also look better from an IQ point of view, and you don't get that sudden jump down to 1440 by 1080. You can learn more about this and the actual image quality overall in the game and how great it looks over in my full analysis video, and obviously the written article on Rectify Gaming. The X is a considerable leap over this though. Even though it states a 4K resolution, it does have two options from the main menu that can be adjusted as you play: resolution or frame rate mode. The latter I will get to in a moment. The higher resolution options pushes dem pixels to a full-size 4K image, but it is a dynamic solution. So we see a reduction down to the low point of 3200 by 1800 and a medium ground more often than not of 3584 by 2016, which is still 5 times the resolution of the Xbox One version, and at its lowest point 4 times the resolution, which is impressive overall. Now, this is a 44% reduction at its lowest point over the 4K image, but it really holds on to that quality so high that it is a much better image quality than any other version in any other mode. And again, this appears across gameplay and real-time story moments. That temporal AA also helps much more here, with the far higher resolution helping resolve almost all of the softening it can produce, leaving a crisp, clean and almost jaggy-free image across the board. Some artifacts do show up from time to time, but they are possibly the temporal elements rather than any checkerboard solution itself, as the motion blur and the post effects can also cause some of these. It is still possible though that dynamic resolution element here will scale a little more or less, because we are really talking about 6 times the pixel count of the base Xbox One model. In addition, the extra resolution and bandwidth means textures, materials and shadow filtering is better, with oblique angles on floors highlighting much higher detail into the mid and far distance, helping improve the visual quality even further. The other option reduces this down to a native 1920 by 1080p image, which is on its own is absolutely fine, but once you jump between the two, the change in pixel clarity is quite stark and certainly makes it an obvious choice as to which mode you are in when on a large 4K screen. This is a much smaller sacrifice though on a 1080p one, and in my opinion it's certainly worth it as you gain significantly in one other area.
Fuck. We planned for this. Make sure the perimeter's secure. Inspectors are coming. Be ready.
I don't know. Fuck. I hear the readings are off the chart.
Don't worry, I'll fix it.
Inspectors are coming. Be ready.
Fuck. Don't worry, I'll fix it.
Wait.
Operation Blackout is complete.
Where's our backup? Where's our backup?
See, in frame rate mode, the X is still pushing a 44% higher resolution, any dynamic element notwithstanding, and as such is still noticeably sharper than the S. Over and above this though, the two versions side by side highlight the 30 FPS cap is removed, giving us a target of 60 Hz. During a comparison here of light combat, cinematics and heavy action sequences, we can see that both versions run the same adaptive Vsync as Rise, which allows the top section of 200 or so pixels to tear when running slightly behind frame budget. It's very rarely prolonged and minor enough to be missed by many, I think, but the improvement to controller response aiding this choice. What is clear though is that both the S and the X do not keep a flat line on those frame times. We do see some mild stutters into the 60 milliseconds between kill sections and other stutters from time to time in action, giving us a few 16, 33 and back again frame times, occasionally accompanied by the mild tear. The far faster controller times and smoother gameplay can be a huge improvement to the visuals and enjoyment factor of the game, largely due to the high frequency of gun battles and precision moments required. Which brings us on to another point which was covered in depth before when I covered Rise of the Tomb Raider. Input latency. We are seeing a similar situation here on the latest title. In fact, judging it on the Xbox One S, it's back where it was at the worst point when the game launched. So at worst, you're getting around 255 milliseconds of input latency on certain movements, and at best, you're getting around 222 milliseconds. Now the Xbox One X in 4K mode comes in very close. It's slightly faster, with an average of 217 milliseconds. But jump this to the 60 FPS mode and we see a significant enhancement to that, right down to a new low of 126 milliseconds. Almost half, well indeed it is at the worst point, it's twice as fast in this 60 FPS mode. But the average comes in around 142 milliseconds, which is still a significant 66% improvement on its best point in 4K mode, and you can feel this instantly, not only with the increase to the frame rate on screen, but also the reduction to that input latency. You can see the chart and obviously read more on the website. It's still a smooth and precise game, but if you found the input latency on the old title bad, this is around the same at its worst point. It really doesn't ruin the game in any way though. You do get used to it, but just be aware that this hasn't been improved significantly unless you go for the higher option of the frame rate mode here on the X.
Jesus, something exploded on your right.
The game does suffer worse in the 4K mode though in terms of performance. Just like all the other versions or modes, cutscenes are where it can dip the most, or in heavy geometry scenes with overdraw from the particle effects, the alpha draw, and obviously the volumetric scenes can cause some tearing and judder at certain points throughout the title. There are some absolutely beautiful moments to find in this title. Other moments do appear with denser jungle and geometry causing further dips, which are not as bad on the X in the frame rate mode, which points to a probable bandwidth fill rate limit on the S and the 4K modes. We have even a repeated thermal valley moment with a village section later into the game, showing longer performance dips and tearing across all versions, which you can see on screen. This can bring the 60 FPS mode down into the 40s. Again though, it is a very small section of the overall vast game and could very well be patched out to improve this at a later date, which will happen with some of the mild bugs on the game, and certainly with lip syncing will be fixed with this review code that I've had. So be sure to get that first day one patch downloaded to improve some of these issues, and I'm sure we will see significant improvements to the title and the performance over the coming weeks. Those heavier sections on performance are not that often mine, even if, like the story moments, they do not distract from the enjoyment or play. I've only noted them here for detail. Something which you can check more of in the stats below or in the technical analysis video and the article on Rectified Gaming, which covers this absolutely beautiful game in far more detail, and I do recommend you check that out. In terms of the overall performance and the visual quality here, both versions serve the title well. They have made sacrifices and changes to the engine, which I cover in that video in more detail, but overall this is a better running and looking game than last time we had Lara out in Rise. Now I hope you enjoyed this look at the two versions and the performance. Be sure to check out the far more relevant complete analysis video and the full review of Shadow in the links below. You guys and girls take care, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Lara! I was so worried.
I failed. Worse.
What do you mean?
Dominguez. He has the dagger. I lost it. After everything that my father went through, I gave Trinity exactly what they wanted. He'll use the box and the knife to remake the world.
To remake it into what?
I don't know, he thinks he can rid it of sin and weakness. A man like that, we have to stop him. It's all my fault.
We'll figure it out, okay? I promise.
No! We have to get to the hidden city before Trinity. We have to find the silver box.
Okay, but first, we're gonna help these people get to safety, and then we'll go after the box.
No one is safe! Not if he gets the box first! I have to go! I'm the only one!
You're the only one that can what? You don't know that you caused all this, Lara! Not everything is about you! These people need us here. We can do good now! Besides, what do we gotta go on? A riddle? We're gonna need more than pink fish and silver crowns to get to the hidden city.